let's talk about today's cue card. So the topic which I am going to discuss today is describe an English lesson or class that you enjoyed. So this is about English lesson or English class that you enjoyed. So enjoyed says that you have to speak it in past tense. The follow-up questions are, the first is when did you take the class? When? So you have to talk about the time. Second, what was taught in the class? So what was means you need to talk about the subject area or the topic in that particular class that you have taken. The third one is what did teacher do that made you enjoy it? So something specific that was done in that class and that particular activity made the class quite enjoyable for you. Okay, so it is not about any English class, it is about one particular session, one particular class that was enjoyable for you. Okay, so that should be spoken in past tense. Let's talk about that introduction. So in the contemporary era means nowadays, these days, in the ultra modern era, in the 21st century. So instead of asking everything, it's up to you, whatever you want to say, but I have picked up this one. In the contemporary era, English has become a global language. So there is no doubt, there is no iota of doubt, undoubtedly, English has become a global language. And it has become incumbent, indispensable, imperative or necessary to become fluent in English. So if you say it has become need of an hour to become fluent in this language. So need of an hour means it has become the requirement of this present time. So instead of asking in a simple thing, if I say necessary is a very basic word and will not help me to score 7 or 8 band in speaking. Instead of necessary, I would better say incumbent. Incumbent means necessary. Indispensable means necessary. Imperative. So you can choose anyone, whichever attracts you or whichever is easy for you to speak. Okay, now the first one, when did you take the class? So I took this class last month when I was attending IELTS classes along with some skill enhancement classes, because I was knowing that since I studied from state board school, so obviously I wasn't fluent in English and that exactly was my weakest area, and I was planning to migrate to Canada for my higher studies. But yes, before that I have to clear this test, IELTS exam, and in order to clear IELTS exam I have to improve myself quite a lot. So I attended some classes. So when? It was last month. Second, what was taught in this class? So what was taught? So I will be giving some background information about this topic. So when I was attending my classes, so especially in reading sessions, in writing, in speaking, I found, or I discovered, instead of found you would say discovered, I found out that vocabulary was the biggest problem for me. So instead of saying was the biggest problem, vocabulary was the biggest obstacle or hindrance in my learning. Whenever I was doing reading module, I found, okay, because of that vocabulary word I'm not knowing and I was losing many marks. The same happened when I was doing my writing. I used to be writing very simple sentences, though I improved a lot in the tenses, so I was making grammatically accurate sentences. However, it was a very plain English, and that plain English, the simple English, was not attracted enough to my teachers who was checking my writing and taking my speaking sessions. So they advised me to improve my vocabulary. So I discovered. How I discovered? I discovered it by myself, and in fact I was being suggested by my module trainers, my reading trainers, my writing trainers, my speaking trainers. Okay, so I made my mind to attend some of vocabulary booster sessions in the institute. So in that institute where I was taking classes, they used to be having vocabulary booster sessions twice a week. Okay, so earlier I wasn't going in these classes, but when I was advised to attend, then I made my mind. Made my mind means decided. So I decided to attend some of vocabulary booster sessions. So vocabulary booster means to improve my vocabulary. Okay, so what was that? Was about vocabulary. Initially I was feeling apprehensive. So the same thing that happens with everybody, the same happened with me. Initial means in the beginning. In the beginning, I was afraid. So instead of afraid, what I would say? I don't say afraid because again it is a simple word. If I want to speak something better, I would say I was feeling apprehensive. I was feeling afraid about the class, about this vocabulary class, and thought of giving up my idea. Give up means leave, surrender. I thought no, I won't be going in the vocabulary class. Why? Because I'm actually very weak in English, and I thought that if I'll go into this class and if the teacher would ask me anything, any vocabulary word, and if I won't be able to answer, I might feel embarrassed in front of the entire class. So I was having several thoughts running in my mind, and I was really, in dilemma. In dilemma means in confusion. Should I go or not? Okay, so I've given it a second thought, and finally I decided. So however, I persuaded myself finally. So persuaded means I made myself agree that okay, if I really want to go to Canada, I have to improve. I have to work on each and every weak area of mine. Okay, so finally I joined the class. So now it's about that class. What was something that was enjoyable? So my course trainer, my vocabulary course trainer was Mrs. Manisha. She taught several vocabulary words on that day in one particular class, the very first session that I attended and enjoyed. Okay, so she explained it in quite entertaining and amusing way. So she was teaching vocabulary words. She taught 15 words on that day, but all those 15 words were not taught in kind of academic way. It was quite hilarious and amusing. She was explaining and how she was making these words relatable. She shared several tricks, okay, that were shared to learn these advanced vocabulary words. And then what she have done, like first she taught these 15 words by explaining it with a different background information and by giving some examples and some that common sounded words, so that we could easily recall and speak it up whenever there is a need. Apart from that, after teaching all those 15 words, she made groups of 2 students each. So there were like 20 students in that class. So 20 students means she made 10 groups, 2 students each in a group, and then we were asked to make a story using all of those 15 words. Okay, so first, like what happened, we were taught 15 words, and then the entire class was divided into different groups, and we were given this assignment, we were given this task of creating a story by using all of that 15 words, and we were given some time to prepare that story. So I was really impressed by this idea. I found this idea of learning vocabulary innovative and creative. So innovative and creative, something new of doing the thing. So it wasn't a boring enough. It wasn't boring or monotonous. It was something new. So innovative, creative way of learning. I admired her teaching skills on the very first day. So admired, appreciated. I was impressed a lot. And we obviously, like everybody, made these stories and they shared their stories in front of other students, and everybody laughed a lot. A few stories were having some comic incidents in that. However, that was a really beautiful and beneficial session, I must say, because in that first session only I was able to learn 15 words. No doubt I attended many sessions after that, but since that was the first one, so that cast an indelible impression in my mind. So indelible means kind of impression that can never be erased. Okay, so I must say that that was a wonderful and hilarious class with many stories. So wonderful and hilarious. Hilarious is like full of fun. Okay, so this is how you can end it. If you like this video, don't forget to click on that like button and share it with your friends. All the best.